Hi all and welcome back. So today we will not be looking in some kind of tutorial. So today we'll be working on one of the practical story, okay, which a lot of people must be getting, okay, in the organization because it's a general use case, okay. So what is the use case? So the use case is like if you have a form, okay, on that form you have a field which refers to user table. For example, you can see on the form it's like requested for, okay, this is a field which is pointing to the user table, and then you have couple of fields are which are with respect to that particular user also. It means the requested department, the requested email ID, and it can be a number of things, okay. And you want to auto-populate that field based on the requested for which is got selected. So this is a general use case. I myself has implemented this requirement in multiple ways, okay, multiple ways for multiple requirement. And I thought, why can't we create a generic solution which will help you out to tackle this kind of requirement whenever is possible, okay. It will be a generic solution which can be reused in multiple ways, okay. You may be asked, you also may be asked to populate a field or variable from a selected user record. I have seen many different solutions that do this, okay, but I found that an Ajax call method is the most efficient way to pull information from the user record. So let's go to the implementation part. So for us, the requirement is like we will be creating a generic and most suitable and best way to fetch the information for the requested department and requested email ID from the requested form, okay. So we'll be using this catalog item for reference purpose. So what we'll be doing, we will first create a script include, okay. So let's do that, okay. So I will take this up and let's create a script include which will be calling from the Glide Ajax, okay. So I will go to script include. If you are not aware about the script include also, you can watch my script include tutorial also, which will be given in, you can see on the icon, okay. And now I will create a new script include, okay. Let's so you can also give me this kind of requirements, okay. I will try to create videos on some of them, okay, which I feel which is quite generic and which is useful to other people also, okay. So let's give it a name. So we will give it as user utils Ajax because it's pulling information from for the user table, okay. We'll make it a client callable things, okay. And we got this structure. Why client callable? Because we'll be using Glide Ajax to pull this information, to call this particular script from the client script. If you are not aware about that also, you can find the link in the icon at the top, okay. So this is a signature. Let's create a function, okay. Let's give it a name. So we'll give get user field values, okay. This will be our function name, okay. Pardon me for that. And now let's go one by one. So I will zoom it out. I will give it a comma so the error will vanish. And now let's start. So we'll be expecting certain parameters to perform this particular activity, right, from the client script. So we'll assume what all we will be taking, okay. So we'll be taking user ID, okay, because so we'll give as variable user ID, okay. It will be this dot get parameter, okay, this dot get parameter, and we'll be passing, we will be giving an sysparam underscore user, okay. This will the first attribute. Now we'll be looking to one more attribute, okay, which is we want what all fields we need to populate, right. So I will give it a name as f string. It will be field string. Why? Because from the client side we will be passing as comma separated string, okay. And I will give it a name as fields, okay, sysparam. So on these two attributes only we will be playing the entire game, okay, of this requirement. So what I will do, first of all, as I told you, it will be a comma separated string, right? Comma separated string. Okay, so we'll convert it into array first. Okay, so we'll do f array. I will give variable f array equal to fill string, and observe this thing ki the variable is can be redundant out. Okay, so we'll give fill string dot split. Okay, so we'll be based on, as it's a comma separated, we will split on comma, so we got an array of field now. Okay, I will make it a camel case thing. Okay, now field array is done. Now we will create a user object. For why user object? We will not be pushing the entire user object, we will be pushing only fields which are required. Okay, based on the fields. Okay, so what we will do, we'll create variable user JSON object. Okay, and I will give it as an empty object right now. Okay, then the next thing is like if now we will be gliding the sysuser table to fetch the user details. Okay, as per requirement. Okay, so I will just minimize the indentation. Okay, so how to do that? We will be doing variable user object, okay, equal to new glide record, and we'll be gliding to sys user table. Perfect. Now we will be fetching that particular user information which we are getting into user ID field, right? So for that, what we can do, we can check. So I will check if we'll check whether that particular user exists or not. That's the first thing. Just done validation. Okay, is user okay, it's user object dot get what we want to get, that particular sysID user, right? So it's user ID. Okay, if that user exists, then what we want to do. Okay, if it doesn't exist, we will not do anything. So we will give a variable field name as an empty string. Okay, I will give it as an empty string for now. We will be using it out. You will get how we are using. Now what we want to do, we want to get the information from that user record for all the fields which is given in the field array. So for how we can do that, so we will be iterating through that array. Okay, so we will be doing for variable I equal to 0. Okay, I less than field array dot length. Okay, I plus plus. Okay, now we will be taking the values of each of the fields. Now there is a possibility that we will do some error handling, that if for example there is a department. Okay, for example there is a department. Okay, this is how we are expecting the field value. Okay, but if someone to give department.t, then we want only department. We want to exclude this out. Okay, just in case. Okay, people act like stupid, so we can't. We'll do some error handling from our side, and you can do whatever you want. Okay, all kind of error handling. So for what we will do, first of all, we will create variable field value, and we'll keep it as empty for now. Okay, now if for this kind of example, right, I have told you department dash d, right? For this kind of example, we will add some validation. What will be that validation is look like? So we will check if in case field array of I, okay, that particular entity to string dot index means we are checking if it contains that dash kind of thing, because it's a it's kind of means generic things which people mistake. Okay, so I am just considering that out. Okay, is greater than -1. So if the dash exists in the field name, which is not the right field, right? So what we will do t array. We will split it out based on the dash equal to f array of I dot split, and we will split on dash. Now it will create this department ID like this as department, and the second entity will be D. So we just want department, not this D1. Okay, so we'll be creating that thing out. So we will do field name equal to D array of 0, because we are pulling the first element only and we are converting into string. Okay, this is how we are done. Now we will be pulling the field value for that. So we will give field value. Field value will be, what will be the field value? We will be pulling that field value from that user object, right? So we will do user object of that particular field name, which will be f name. Okay, f name, and we want display value dot get display value. Okay, so now we got for this particular scenario where the dash exists. Okay, if field value, I missed the equal to sign. Okay, now if it doesn't exist, okay, if doesn't exist, then we don't want to do all these things, right? So we'll be doing else simple. What will be the f name? F name will be f name equal to, it will be field array of I, that particular record, plus we will convert it into string. So this is the easiest way to convert something into string. Okay, you simply concat it with double inverted comma, that's it. Okay, and we will give field value. We'll be pulling field value, so the field value will be the same, right? So it will be like okay, I'll be field value equal to user object of field name. Now this is fine. Now we got the attributes. Okay, we are getting the attributes. Now what we want to do, for every record we want to push it to a string, right? So what we'll be doing after else, okay, we'll be doing user JSON object, which you remember, which we have created in the start, okay, of field name. So we'll be creating key value pair over there. So f name, that's why we kept it outside. Okay, equal to field value, okay, plus the string, empty string. Okay, now we got this also. I will remove this because I can forget it out. We don't want any warning. Now this is done. Now we want to convert this string into an JSON object so that it will be easily used on the front side, right? So how we can do that? I will just return it out. So I will do variable and I will give encoded JSON return equal to new JSON dot encode. Okay, encode, and we will be passing this user object now. Done. And then we simply will return this encoded JSON. So this is all done on a script include side. So you remember we took two attributes, which is user ID and what all fields we require. Okay, we converted the field into array, then we had an empty user object, then we glide recorded the user table and we check with the sysID which we are passing in the user ID. Then we did some validation, and based on this string array we iterated through the entire array, and we just took the field and field value we pushed to the user JSON object, and we returned it out. Pretty simple, I guess. Okay, so I will save it out. Now we will go to this catalog item, and now we will create the catalog client script for the same. Okay, so how to create a catalog client script? Okay, you can simply move over here, new. Okay, new catalog client script, and let's give some validation to that. So I will give it a name as set user details. Okay, it should be applies to catalog type. It should be on change of what? On change of requested for. It should get applies to, I will do applies to this. Okay, if not required right now. Okay, I will keep it like this. And now we will write the function. Okay, now we'll write the code. First of all, how it should look like. Okay, so we want to check, first of all, we want to validate if there is the new value should not be null. Okay, else our entire logic will break. So we will do if new value is empty. Okay, if it's empty, then what we can do, right? So we will set underscore form dot set value of field, so to empty. So I have to check for the field name for both. So we have two fields for now, so we will be putting it 2 times. Okay, let me check, duplicate, and I will do configure item. So variables, I will pull the backend name for that. Name, I will, okay, and let's see. Oh my god, it's taking time. Okay, so we are looking for these two fields, right? So requested department is the first. So requested department we will be setting to null if requester is empty, and because it's dependent on the requester only, right? So if there's no existence of requester, then this should not exist. So this is done. It's kind of validations which we have done. Okay, what happened over here? If new, oh, I gave 1 equal to only, it should be 2 equal to. Now this is if the value exists. Okay, now what we have to do, we will do variable fields to get. Okay, so here you can define what all fields you want to pull from that particular, for that particular user based on the form. Okay, what all is there on the form. So I want to check for department, so I want to check for these two things, department and email ID. So I just added this dash so that I can showcase you how it works for that also. Now we will go with variable GlideAjax equal to new GlideAjax. Okay, and we will be passing the script include name. What is the script include name? Here it's like global user ttt, global user. So we'll copy it out, we'll paste it out. Then the next thing will be like ga dot add param, okay. And the first one, as you know, we want to call the function, right? So I will give sys underscore param, sys param underscore name. Now we'll be passing the name of the function which we'll be using. So what is the name of the function? Let's get user field values. So this is done. Then the next step will be like we want two attributes, right? So I will just copy paste it out just to save my efforts. Okay. So the second one will be sys param user. What was the attribute? Sys param user. And after that we had one more, which was sys param fields, right? So we'll take these two things, we'll put it over here. Okay, what we need to pass to the user will be its on change of use requested for, right? So we'll give that new value only to the user, and for this we will give fields to get. As these are variables, I will remove this thing out, else it will create a huge mess. Okay, and then we will provide our standard XML thing. Okay, so it will be like ga.getXML, and we will give the function name, callback function name, and then we'll define that function. Set variable should be a small set, where I will just create a code snippet because I don't want to make it too long. So what we did, set variable, we got now answer equal to, we got the answer. Now we got user data object equal to the answer, and we are setting the two attributes. The two attributes will be requester department, and the second attribute will be the requester email. So on the client side, what exactly we are doing? Okay, we are calling that particular script include out. We are passing two attributes. One is the field value, okay, and the second one is the user SSID. We are pulling out the details which we are passing from the script include, and we are just setting it. So now our client script is catalog client script is ready. It seems to be okay. Now let's move to the catalog item. Okay, this catalog item, let me refresh it out so that we can test it out. Now if I select the requested for, the requested department and request email ID should get auto-populated. Request department is a reference field and email ID is a string field. Okay, so let's go to this and let's select the user Munifa Masood, and okay, as per expectation, the requested department plus requester email ID got populated. Let's verify it out. So if I click on the eye icon, so the department is development, as you can see on the form. The department is development, and the email ID is munifa.masood@example.com. So if you now you have implemented it out. Now if you get some other requirement, okay, or some other form, basically if you consider incident form, and in incident form there are different field set, and you want to configure in the similar way, you can simply call that particular script include, that particular function, and you can pass the field which you are looking for that particular record, and you can set it out. So this is how we have achieved this requirement. Hope it's helpful to you. Okay, please like, follow, subscribe to my channel, okay, so that I will be creating this kind of tutorials in the future also. Okay, and also drop me a comment with the requirement which you want to look into. I will try to create videos on the same also. Till then, stay happy, stay fine, and have a nice day. Thank you.